stunning, gorgeous, beautiful girlies. Welcome back to the Pay Attention podcast. Something is very different this week. I am alone. Niamh is not here. She is not well. Hotel. So I am taking the reins on this episode this week. And in true me fashion, I'm doing it at 9:15 p.m. at night time before the episode is due to go out tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. So I'm excited. I hope you enjoy this solo episode. Of course, solo episodes are not going to be a reoccurring theme, but I feel like it's good to test the waters. If for some reason I can ever not do it or Niamh can ever not do it, that we still bring you an episode of Pay Attention every single week. We're on such a streak, honestly, and I'm so proud of us. And Niamh, I know you're listening to this episode being like, bitch, I can't believe you recorded it at 9:15 at night time. But that's why it's good that I'm not left to my own devices with this podcast, because I feel like when it's me and Niamh, it's good, because we have to get the podcast done. It has to be edited and sent over and reviewed, and we have to cut things. Whereas today, it's just me. So you're welcome. I hope you're excited to get into this episode with me. This episode is going to basically be my current Roman empires. So things that I just kind of can't stop thinking about. I said I would just talk about them and put them into an episode. So we're going to get straight into it. My first Roman empire is, I'm turning 30 so soon. It's about to be a month to my 30th birthday. I turned 30 in April, mid-April. I'm a Taurus, we all know this. And I think that it's going to be such a slay. Like, I feel like growing up, especially growing up in the 90s, it was always, oh my God, 30 is so old. You know, you'd see these movies about women turning 30 and they're like crying, or it's all so dramatic. And I'm just kind of like, I'm very excited to turn 30 because it's a whole new decade of adulthood. And, you know, your 20s is a decade of adulthood, but like, is it really? You know, your brain isn't fully developed. You're trying to figure out the world. You don't know who you are for the majority of your 20s. I'm sorry to anyone in their very early 20s who thinks they know who they are. Shocker, you don't. And I just feel like your 20s is kind of a bit of a mess, whereas your 30s, I feel like you go into it and you kind of have more of a sense of self. You know who you are, you know what you like, and you're coming into this whole new decade of life with just a whole new perspective. And when I reflect on like all of the things that I have done since I turned 20 years old, like my 21st birthday, I had like an all black themed birthday party. We all wore black. The photos were amazing. And like, that seems like so long ago, because, you know, it was 9 years ago. But the point is like, I've lived so many lives since then. I've lived so many lives. I've done so many things. I've had my heart broken, fallen in love, moved across the world multiple times, traveled, made friends, lost friends. Like, I've done so much and I've experienced so much, and it's like I get to do that all over again, but in my 30s. It's like a whole new season of life. So I'm actually quite excited about turning 30, and I can't stop thinking about it. And I was thinking the other day, like, do I get a haircut? Because obviously your hair holds energy. Now, I'm trying to grow out my hair. Me and Niamh are both on a hair growth journey. We're using the Amla oil. It's slaying. But I do need a trim. Like, I'm due a trim. And I'm like, the morning of my 30th birthday, do I go get a haircut to like shed the energy? Like I'm thinking about like how I want to spend the day of my 30th birthday, what I want to do the weekend before, the weekend after, because my birthday falls on a Monday. So obviously I get 2 birthday weekends. Like I get the weekend before my birthday and then the weekend of my birthday week. You know what I mean? So I've been really thinking about that and really thinking about how I want to celebrate myself and celebrate going into this new decade of life. And I'm just very excited to like end my 20s and go into my 30s. Not because I think my 20s were awful. I had so much fun and so many great times. But I think a lot of people like fear getting older, fear aging, or, you know, think that age means something. And I very much so am a believer that like age is absolutely a mindset. And here's to 30 being like 30 flirty and thriving, you know? Why not? So I am incredibly excited about turning 30, but I have been thinking about how exactly I want to celebrate it and who I want to celebrate it with and where I want to celebrate it. Obviously, I'm living in Rome, so I've just been thinking of all those things. The second thing that I'm seriously thinking about is, where's Kate Middleton? What's going on in the House of Commons? Like, I know we talked about it on the last episode, but since then, the weird farmers market video has been released, which, number one, is so blurry, it looks like it was taken 10 years ago. And number two, that's not Kate Middleton. The second I saw that video, I was like, that's not Kate Middleton. It's just so concerning to me. Like, why can't we, like, I feel like the royals are allegedly digging this hole deeper and deeper. I use the word allegedly because I'm not trying to get sued. But I feel like the royals are like digging this hole deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's like releasing the weird dodgy Photoshop photo and now releasing that weird video, or it wasn't even them, it was like TMZ, and it's like TMZ isn't even a thing in the UK. So why is TMZ doing a weird farmers market video? And then it's like, if she's just out and about at a farmers market, like why wasn't the Mother's Day picture real? I can't stop thinking about it, because the more it goes on, I'm like, okay, but where is she though? Like what's actually going on? And we're about to go into a Mercury retrograde, and we're also about to go into eclipse season, and both of those things mean things being hidden from the forefront and like miscommunication. So I don't even think, are we going to find out anytime soon? I really don't know. And all I want to know is what's going on. Like, actually this is weird behavior. And I'm not even into the royals like that. Like, obviously I'm Irish, but that's beside the point. Like, I don't care about the royals that much, but it's like, okay, but where is she? My whole Twitter timeline and TikTok For You page, to be honest, is where's Kate Middleton? Also, my TikTok For You page is Derry Girls. You know what I was thinking today, right? Say you watch one video on TikTok that is kind of off-brand for your For You page, or like not a video you would usually watch, or maybe it's the first time you see something. So for me, I saw a video on TikTok about Derry Girls, okay? And I watched the whole video and I liked it. Now my whole For You page is Derry Girls videos, and I'm like, where were these before? Like, how many potential For You pages are there? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you watch one of the tarot reader girlies on TikTok, right? You watch one video a bit too long, maybe you comment or you like it. All of a sudden, your For You page is filled with all of these videos that you've never seen before. And it's like, where are the videos coming from? Do you know what I mean? Like, this is it's not a conspiracy theory, but I feel like for anything on TikTok, there is a For You page for that. You know what I mean? Like, me and someone else could pull up our TikTok. It'll be totally different videos. But like, depending on what niche interest you're interested in at the moment, like there's a TikTok For You page for that. Speaking of TikTok, the US trying to ban it is so insane to me. Don't we have bigger fish to fry? Is just my first thought, and was my first thought. Like, The way the US is going so hard on trying to ban a social media app is crazy to me. And it's because of all the unfiltered information. Like, I've seen videos on TikTok I've seen perspectives into like different ways of life or different ways of being, or like different people across the world, the way they live, what they do. And it's so interesting. Like, one day you'll see someone like living in Thailand, or one day, you know, you can see and search and find anything on TikTok. And that's the reason they want to ban it. And that just isn't really sitting right with my soul. But also it's the US, so like, what do we expect? But it's just so wild to me that, you know, there are so many things going on in the world that apparently we can't fix, or, you know, they're complex issues, or you can't just fix it overnight. But when it comes to TikTok, it's like, oh yeah, we'll just get rid of the app, like a social media app. And like, imagine the amount of money and funding going into it. It actually doesn't bear thinking about it, but I've been thinking about it quite a lot. Also, what I've been thinking quite a lot is the idea of getting into a relationship when you're like late 20s, early 30s, because that's my age right now. And obviously I don't have experience of older, but I do have experience of younger. So I can't really speak to older. But I feel like when you were younger, you would get, and this theme has been true for both me and friends, I would say. And maybe it's a woman thing, because I don't think men, especially straight men, think in the same way. Or maybe they do. I'm open to correction. But like, when you get into a relationship when you're younger and when you're dating or whatever, you're not really thinking like, oh, I can't really date this person because like, is this the person that I want to date or like spend the rest of my life with? But maybe, I don't know, is it a Catholic thing, or is it an Irish thing, or is it a growing up as a woman thing? But all of my friends are obviously close to we're all born in 1994 mostly, or like my core friend group. And some of us are single, some of us are in a relationship, but it's a reoccurring theme or topic that has been coming up is like, oh, I'm dating this guy, but like, is this guy the guy? You know? Or it's like feelings of apprehension that were never there before about getting into a relationship, because it seems so much more serious because you're older. Whereas like getting into a relationship, whether you're 21 or 31, feels like the same thing, but it feels so much more serious. Now, obviously, I know if you want children or anything like that, it's different. And if you want to create a family or, you know, but it's just so wild to me how we still think in terms of, okay, this person has to be the right person and that's it. And I was saying to a friend recently in a voice note, we were talking about a certain situation, and I was like, someone could be right for right now, and they might be right for the next 6 months or the next 6 years or the next 2 years or the next year. But then if all of a sudden they're not right anymore, or you grow or they grow and the relationship ends, that's fine. And I think there's this narrative, especially for women, of like being single when they're older being bad. You know, it's like you're in your 30s and you're single, not good. Or you're in your 40s and you're single, not good. Or like you find someone, you date someone, and then you go through a breakup. And I was even victim of that. Like, I'll never forget when I was younger, when I was in my early 20s, I was like, oh my God, one of the worst things in the world. One of the worst things in the world. This is like early 20-year-old me brain. I remember thinking like one of the worst things in the world would to be in a long-term relationships and then getting broken up with at like age 32. I was like, because what do you do then? And now when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, you just go through the breakup and heal and move on. Like, no matter if you're 22 or you're 32, a breakup is a breakup. And like, it's not the end of the world if your relationship ends in your 30s or your 40s or your 50s, because I'm not out here trying to settle and stay in a relationship just out of a fear of being single. And I think a fear of being single is not good, you know? And I think a lot of people will settle in their relationships because of age or because of, the sunk cost fallacy. Is that, I don't know what it's called. It's like, I've invested 5 years into this, so like I'd rather just stay with this person as opposed to like breaking up because like we've done 5 years together. But it's like, if you've done 5 years together and you're not happy anymore, like you still have 60 plus. If you're 30 and you've been with your boyfriend since you were 25 and you're not really feeling the vibes anymore, or maybe there's like certain aspects of your relationship that you think are missing, or when you thought of yourself in a long-term relationship when you were younger, or ideally like certain standards maybe that you didn't, or boundaries that you didn't really have when you were 25, or becoming a parent now and the person isn't meeting them, or this, that and the other, yada yada yada. If you're 30, you realistically probably have another 60 years in this earth, and you've been with this person 5 years. So it's like, it's only 5 years, like it's only a small chunk of time. But I've been really thinking about that recently, of like the idea of like, because it's not that it's came up for me because I don't want to divulge my dating life on the internet as much anymore. I'm trying to enter like a quiet girl era when it comes to discussing my dating, because I feel like I did so much of it on the podcast since the podcast started. And I just feel like maybe I overshared a little. Now, I don't mind oversharing, but I'm trying this new thing where I don't talk about something until I like suss out for myself what's going on. But I have had a few thoughts being like, ooh, if I date this person and I start to really like them, like what's going to happen then? And it's like the same thing that happens when you date someone when you're 25. And obviously I know they say like when you're older, like things move faster because people want different things, but I'm just like, I'm just going to treat it like I treat it and not try to overwhelm myself with that. But if anyone else is feeling that, like if any other girlies are in their late 20s, early 30s, and they're single and they're maybe dating and they're finding they're like putting weird pressures on the relationship or potential relationship that they never did before because of their age now, like please don't do that. You know what I mean? Like just go with what makes you happy right now. Like don't sabotage something because you're like, oh, I don't know, is this the right person for me for the rest of my life, and like are we a good match, and is this the person that I thought I was going to end up with, or like is this person different, or I think sometimes we overwhelm ourselves over not over nothing, but like I don't think we need to over dramatize it. And I think sometimes as women we've been like raised in such a way that tells us that like we're supposed to, and we're the first generation really that is doing all these things a lot later, especially just with the world and the way it is, and also like the pandemic, like everyone's pushed out a few years. Like none of my friends are married. I have one friend getting married in a few months, but like I'm 29, none of my friends are married, like no wedding invitations, no babies. That's not the vibes. Whereas like my mom was like married, baby, everything, 28. Whereas we're the first generation that is doing all this stuff later. So we're like navigating this new world. And then there's like a lot of internal thoughts being like, you're not good enough because maybe you're not living your life in a certain way. Because obviously when I was 12, I was like, oh my God, by the time I'm 29, like engaged, I'll have been with someone for like 5 years and that's the way it's going. But I think the way the world is right now, it's like that's not the way it's going, and that's fine. You know what I mean? Like we don't need to be stressing, and we don't need to be putting someone we could potentially be dating into this like, am I going to end up with them box when you like have gone on 2 dates, you know what I mean? Or like you've gone on a lot of dates and you're like, okay, maybe I want them to be something more serious, and then your brain is like, but is this it? You know what I mean? I've had the is this it thought a lot recently, and I'm like, why are you having that thought? Let's push that to the side. Another Roman Empire that I've currently been having, well, these are actually two, and it's funny because they really tie into the whole Roman Empire of it all, is obviously not only have I moved to a new city, but obviously that new city is Italy. Rome in Italy. So the Roman Empire of it all really ties everything in a bow. But I've been thinking a lot about the idea that, because so many people have asked me since I've moved here and since I was moving and all the other places that I've moved, like the question, like, do you think you'll stay there now? Like, do you think you'll stay now in Rome? I have been here 7 weeks. Okay? First thing. And I think a lot of people feel the pressure to like make a decision about a place quite quickly. Whereas in reality, the first 6 months to a year, you're really only finding your feet in that place. You're either finding a friend group, getting sorted work, daily routine of it all. The idea that you should know after like 6 months or a year, yeah, I'm going to stay here now for the rest of my life, or no, I need to leave, is so wild. It's so wild to me because you might only be somewhere for a season. And I feel like we are definitely part of a generation. I feel like that's going to be a reoccurring theme, the generational references. The world is a lot smaller now than it was. You can live somewhere for 1 or 2 years or 5 years and then move somewhere else if you want to. And I feel like a lot of people feel pressure to like be settled. And I know there's 2 types of people in this world. Like some people genuinely don't have a desire to live in multiple different places around the world, or maybe don't have a big desire to travel. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But then some people do have a desire to live in different places and to travel. And the worst thing you can do is, no matter which one of those people you are, is try to be the other person. So if you're the type of person that doesn't really have a desire to like move away from home or travel or do any of that, and you force yourself to do it because everyone else is doing it, you're like, oh, maybe I should do it, but you don't really want to, then, you know, you shouldn't feel forced to do something. Now, to be honest, I am a massive advocate of leaving the place that you were born and grew up in, because I think there is no better way to put yourself out of your comfort zone than to do that. You learn so much about yourself, about who you are, about life, about being resourceful, about getting yourself out of sticky situations without the immediate family and immediate network that you've had all your life. But also, I do feel like as a society, we're becoming very separate. And I do love the aspect of a community and, you know, living in the same place as your friends and all being this cute community. And instead of everyone living so separate and in 1-bedroom apartments and so far away from each other, like there is no sense of community in that. But I do caveat that in saying that my personal opinion is that even if you hate it and even if you don't want to do it, personally, for me, I do think there is a lot to be said for moving to a different place and experiencing life in a different way than you are used to, because you're used to the life that you grew up around and the people you grew up around and the mindsets of the people and of the place and the energy that you grew up around. And I think removing yourself from that, even if it's just for 6 months to a year, like you don't have to move somewhere for the rest of your life and leave your family behind if that's not what you want to do. But I do think just saying like doing 6 months or a year, if you can, really, really, really does teach you a lot about yourself. And then if you are the type of person who maybe has multiple destinations around the world that they would like to live in and like to experience, and they want to like live in one place for a few years and then maybe move another place and kind of play international game of the floor is lava, you shouldn't try to fit yourself into the like, oh no, I won't do that because I need to settle box, or oh no, I won't do that because I need to have a stable career and have everything figured out by the time I'm 30 and I'm 27 now, so like realistically I can't move away box. Because if you are someone, I'm looking directly in the camera as I'm saying this, if you are someone with a craving or a desire to live in different locations and travel and move places. That is never going to go away. That is only going to get stronger. And I'm not saying this to the people who don't have that desire and are only doing it because they feel pressure, because you shouldn't do anything if you feel pressure. But I am saying it to the people who know well in their heart of hearts that they want to live somewhere else, or they would like to do it, but maybe they're afraid because they don't want to go alone, or they think they're getting too old, or they think they're not going to like it, or they're nervous that it won't work out. And it's like, it working out isn't the goal. Like, something working out, moving somewhere and it working out isn't what you're striving for. It's the whole journey of going somewhere new, having to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, having to figure out a new city, maybe living somewhere where English isn't the first language and navigating that, maybe learning a new language, making new friends, integrating yourself into new communities, building a life outside of the box that you were born into. That's it working out. Like, learning all of this stuff and learning all of this stuff about yourself. That's what moving away and it working out looks like. It working out doesn't look like you moving there, absolutely loving it and staying there for the rest of your life. That's not what the goal of moving away is. The goal of moving away is hopefully to give yourself maybe a better opportunity, maybe earn more money, but it's not even that. It's more so what you learn about yourself, what you learn about life. And you get to create this whole new life and new community for yourself. And you have experiences. And some places you move, you're going to move there and you're not going to like it. And maybe you won't have good experiences. And maybe it'll just be a 0 out of 10, not great time. But you're still going to learn things about yourself. You're still going to, in all these hard situations that you get put in, like, you still learn something. Or you could move somewhere and it could be like, meh, I like it. But like, I think a lot of people moving places put a pressure on themselves to fall in love with the place. I've lived so many places that I haven't really fell in love with. And then I've lived places that I'm like, oh my God, I feel so at home here. And it just depends person to person how you feel and your experience there. And you can't really put pressure on yourself to love somewhere when you go there, because I know a big thing with Irish people at the moment is moving to Australia, right? So many people are moving to Australia, and there's such like a divide between like people who move to Australia and they're like, oh my God, it's the best place in the world, the lifestyle, I love it here, I love my work here, and the work-life balance is so much better, and it's more of an outdoors lifestyle, and the weather. And then there's the people who move there who have an awful experience, and they're like, I saw this life projected online and I wanted that life and I didn't get that life when I got there, so therefore I don't like it. And both things are true. Like, some people do move to Australia and love it and have such good opportunities and make such good friends and earn such good money and really enjoy the lifestyle. And some people move to Australia and they're like, this is too far away, I don't like it. Maybe there's not enough culture here for me. Maybe there's not enough of this, that. Maybe my job, I can't really get it. I haven't really made good friends here. Both experiences exist, but that doesn't make the place bad. It just means that everybody's different and everyone's going to have different experiences. But if you're moving to a place based on like, ooh, I follow this girl online and her life looks very aesthetic and she has fun every day and she goes to cafes and she goes for a swim, and you have to create that life for yourself. Like, even the person posting it online, number one, they mightn't have that life. But number two, if they do have that life, they had to create it. A life like that and a day-to-day routine like that doesn't just fall into your lap. You have to create a life that you enjoy and that you love. And for everyone, that's different. But if you move somewhere in the morning, you're not going to have that life straight away, because you have to move and maybe you have to get an apartment. And then you might have to set up your apartment. And the first few weeks, things might go wrong in your apartment. You might lose electricity. You might get locked out. Your laptop might break. I'm using all personal references. You might go out too much. You might drink alcohol. You might be missing home. You might do all these things. And it won't be until 8 weeks or 12 weeks or 16 weeks in that you get the whole day-to-day routine down of doing different things. Like me, for example, this morning, I was like, do you know what? I want to start my day walking along like the River Tiber because it's quite close to me. I was calling it the River Tiber. I was wrong. I always thought it was the River Tiber. Anyway, it's Tiber. So I had this thing and I was like, wouldn't it be so fun, because it's quite close to where I live, to get up in the morning and like start my day by walking along the River Tiber, because it's sunny, it's all pavement, it's beautiful. And I've had this thought since I've come here, but I haven't done it. You know what I mean? And today was the first day I did it. Now, I didn't do it in the morning. I did it maybe at like 1 o'clock, but I still did it. And I was like, okay, now I'm going to build this into my routine more. And maybe for the next week or two, I might do it like 2 or 3 times a week. And then I'll do it more and more and more. And then in 6 months' time, it might be a non-negotiable in my routine. And I might post a day in the life being like, day in the life in Rome, Italy, and I'll get up and I'll go for a walk along the River Tiber, and maybe I'll get like a White Monster on the way home, and then go do work, and then go here and then go there, and have all of these different parts of my daily routine that I have curated and created. But they don't just happen overnight. And if you look at someone's life when they arrive in a place a month or 2 after it, or 6 months or 12 months after, it's very different, because 6 or 12 months in, you might have a friendship group, you might have a new network, you might have plans with this friend one day, or you want to try out this new thing, and you're getting used to the place, or you're more used to the place. Whereas a month in, 2 months in, you're not going to have your dream day-to-day routine in this new place that you're still navigating and you're still trying to figure out. You know what I mean? Because that has been me with Rome. Like, I've been here 7 weeks and I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. But, you know, my days have looked very different all the time, because a few things happened that sent me back with work. And then I was trying to catch up on work. And then I had this going on and that going on. And I have a friend visiting next week, so I'll be doing touristy things. And I'm still finding my way of what I want to fill my days with and how I want my days to look and be set up. Because it takes a while to like navigate that stuff, but you also have to create that stuff. Like, I have a few friends in Rome now, and I want to get a projector. And I've been saying since I've got to Rome, like, we're going to do a painting evening. Like, I'm going to buy all the supplies and we're just going to sit and chill and paint, maybe listen to music, maybe watch Derry Girls on repeat. Who knows? Maybe have some wine. But I want to set that up, and I will set that up, and I will get that organized. But then it might become a weekly thing, which will be in my routine in 6 months' time. Do you see what I mean? So then if someone looked at me in Rome in 6 months' time and saw my days were filled up with like going for this morning walk and then meeting my friends for like in the evening painting, and we do this every week and we do that, all these little routines and all these little day-to-day life things, no matter if you live somewhere or if you're moving somewhere new, you still have to create them, and they're not just created overnight. And just because you move to a new location, you still have to put effort into like curating a day-to-day routine. I feel like I've repeated myself so much, but I don't even care. And my final Roman Empire of this episode is my current very aggressive love-hate relationship with my phone. I swear to God, sometimes I look at my phone, I look at my notifications. I have all these people, right? These are my thoughts. I have all these people that live on my phone, because without my phone, I don't have access to these people. Like all these people across the world, or 2 of my brothers live in Australia, my parents at home, cousins, best friends, all across the world. And without this device, these people don't exist in my current reality. If there wasn't a social media, if there wasn't a phone, you know? And it's like sometimes I pick up my phone and I have maybe unread messages I haven't responded to, or maybe messages other people haven't responded to. And it's like you have this guilt, especially when you live away, of like there's all these people that live in my phone that I could reach out to and that I should reach out to and check in on. and do all these things and talk to them and communicate with them because they're some of my favorite people in the world, but they're not in my current location. So the only way to communicate with them is with my phone. But then it's like, if you're to communicate with every single person that you hold near and dear every single day on your phone, that's a lot of time, effort, and energy put into that. And it's like this thing of like, sometimes I just want to throw my phone away. And I think I've been thinking about how much more present our parents' generation would have been on a day-to-day, because you're not like, oh, I have to ring that person back now, or I have that voice note, or did they respond to me? And it's like, I'm not saying I don't like responding to people. I love talking to people. I love sending voice notes. I love staying in contact with people who aren't in my direct vicinity. But it's like, so much of your mental can be taken away from your present moment, because obviously it's very important to foster the relationships of people who are directly around you. But then it's like, but a lot of the relationships you have to foster on the phone. And then it's like, sometimes I just want to go on my phone and scroll TikTok for 2 hours. But then it's like, you have this guilt of like people you haven't responded to. And it's just so sad. I think it just kind of circles back to the fact that like, we're all so separate now. And I would love, my dream is to live in a community or like a housing estate or a town with all of my closest friends, like all living close to me. Like, I don't want everyone to live across the world, but then again, I don't know where it is I want to live. Do you know what I mean? But I would love to just pick up all my favorite people in my life and place them in the, like, how much more fun would life be if like your favorite people were close to you all the time? But everyone's so spread out now, and that's just the world. And that's like the only way we can contact these people is via the phone. But it's like, without this, these people don't exist. Like, you don't have access to them. It's actually crazy. And sometimes I'm like, I don't want to be contactable. Like, no, you know? Because it's like, sometimes I don't want to respond. And I want to just exist in my current reality that is in front of me. I don't know. I've been really going through it with the whole phone thing. Maybe I need 2 phones. Maybe I need like a fun phone and then like phone. I don't know. And I feel like we're all so chronically online now. I don't know. I feel like one-to-one relationships with people that aren't virtual need to be more, or they are important, but like they need to become more common again. Like, if I'm walking down the street, okay, everyone I see is connected to a phone, more or less. Someone's listening to a podcast, someone's voice noting their friend in Canada, someone's on the phone, someone's this, someone's that. So no one's connecting with their current reality of the people that are in front of them right there. Whereas if you think back to our parents' generation, they were walking down the road and they were focused on the people who were walking down the road. Maybe they said hi, maybe they bumped into their love of their life, but they were so much more present and their attention wasn't constantly taken by this electronic device. And I know you're all listening to me on an electronic device now, and I am the first person to say I adore social media. I adore being able to connect with so many people around the world. There are so many connections I would not have in this life, be it not for social media. I've met the most amazing people via the internet, but I just think also maybe we should all have like a week designated a month, or like every few days, just like leave your phone at home, you know? Just leave your phone at home. Says the girl who never carries bank cards or cash with her anywhere, and like I'd pay. Like, do you know what I mean? But I feel like hopefully as a society, we're about to revert back from being chronically digital, even though I know with like AI and developments, we're probably not. But like, I would love if we were. Someone needs to write me a love letter. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe for my 30th year, I'm going to get all my friends' addresses and write them letters. Wouldn't that be such a fun thing? Maybe I'll do that. Okay, so we're 40 minutes in. I feel like this podcast needs to be edited and uploaded. There are all my thoughts of the week. Listen, I don't know if you agree with me on things, if you disagree, if you enjoyed this solo episode. I hope you did. Niamh will be back next week and we will be thriving. But for this week, you had me, myself, and my Roman empires. So I really hope you enjoyed them. I will see you all next week. on the Pay Attention podcast with Niamh. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. If you're on Spotify, follow the pod. Leave us a rating. We would love a rating. If you've never rated the pod, you just click 5 stars. It's that easy. And we also have the anonymous submission, so you can completely anonymous. It's a completely anonymous Google form. You can submit dilemmas, questions, topic suggestions, whatever you want. We just want you to submit, and we genuinely don't know who is submitting what, so it's completely anonymous. But yeah, thank you for hanging out with me today. I have to edit this and upload this now, and it is nearly 10 p.m. and it has to be all done for 7 a.m. So goodbye.